What's up, Blue and Silver Nation? This Sunday isn't just another game on the schedule. It's one of those moments we'll carry forever in our memories. It's pure emotion, a story of resilience, and the kind of journey that proves football is about so much more than numbers, stats, or standings. And what's about to happen in Cincinnati is guaranteed to give you chills. For the very first time, someone truly special will be in the stands to witness a dream that started long ago and now shines at the highest level of the NFL. So, get ready, because this story is going to move you just like it's moved the locker room, the teammates, and every fan who bleeds Honolulu blue. But before we dive in, hit that like button, turn on the notifications, and drop a comment. What's the most unforgettable moment you've experienced as a Lions fan? Let's talk about it, because Sunday is going to be one for the ages. Go Lions! This Sunday in Cincinnati isn't just another game on the schedule. For the Detroit Lions, for every fan in Honolulu blue, and for one player in particular, it's going to be emotional, unforgettable, and possibly one of the most inspiring stories of the entire NFL season. Because this week, it's all about David Montgomery, a player who represents everything you want to root for in professional football: toughness, humility, resilience, and family. And for the first time in his career, after more than 90 regular season games spread across 6 years, Montgomery is finally going home to play in Cincinnati, his hometown, in front of family and friends who have never seen him take the field live as an NFL player. But what makes this even more powerful, what makes it a story that goes far beyond football, is that among those in the stands will be Montgomery's sister, watching him play in person for the first time. And the reason why it has never happened before cuts deep. Over a year ago, she was in a devastating car accident that left her paralyzed from the neck down. She needs constant care. She lives her daily life in a wheelchair, and traveling has never been an option. But this Sunday changes that. At 4:25 p.m. on FOX, while the Lions line up against the Bengals, she'll be there. She will finally get to see her brother live his dream on an NFL field, wearing the same colors and fighting for the same cause that we, the fans, pour our energy into every week. Think about that for a second. The game we'll be watching on Sunday isn't just about the win-loss column. It's not just about standings, stats, or playoff implications. It's about a man who grew up in Cincinnati, who was overlooked by the Bearcats when it came time for college recruitment, who had to leave home to prove himself at Iowa State, and who now returns as a professional, as one of the emotional leaders of this Lions roster.
And while Montgomery has faced diminished playing time because of the incredible rise of Jahmyr Gibbs, it's never been about competition between them. They've built a bond, they've built chemistry, they've embraced the Sonic and Knuckles nickname, and every time one succeeds, the other celebrates. That's rare in professional sports, and it tells you exactly what kind of man Montgomery is. This game is not only about Montgomery's return home, it's also about redemption, respect, and recognition. And you can feel it. Fans know it. Teammates know it. His coaches know it. This is going to be an emotional moment. When he takes the field, when he carries that ball, when he fights for those extra yards, it's not just another snap in another game. It's personal. It's family. It's a story of resilience that reminds us why we love this sport so much. And yet, while this storyline could stand alone as one of the most moving of the season, the Lions are facing their own roster challenges that add another layer of drama to this matchup. Cornerback DJ Reed has been placed on injured reserve with a hamstring injury, forcing him to miss at least 4 weeks. That leaves the Lions secondary thin against a Bengals offense that, despite its struggles, is still stacked with dangerous weapons like Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. Rookie corner Terrion Arnold surprised everyone by practicing through a shoulder injury this week, which is a good sign, but whether he can suit up at full strength on Sunday remains a mystery. Depth pieces like Khalil Dorsey, Avonte Maddox, and newly promoted Lawrence Strickland will be called on, while Nick Whiteside and veteran journeyman corner T.R. Flowers were brought in to bolster the practice squad. This is what makes the NFL beautiful and brutal at the same time. Your biggest emotional story of the season collides head-on with one of your toughest roster challenges. Because while Montgomery's homecoming is going to inspire his teammates and his city, the Lions' defense still has to figure out how to slow down one of the league's most talented wideouts. Ja'Marr Chase has been frustrated, demanding touches, and you can bet Cincinnati is going to try to feed him the ball in front of their home fans. But here's the other side of that coin. If the Bengals' offensive line can't block Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions' pass rush, none of that matters. Hutchinson is licking his chops for this matchup, and Lions fans know how quickly he can flip the momentum of a game. On the other side of the ball, Detroit's offensive line deserves its flowers. This unit hasn't allowed a single sack since week 1. Think about that. Baltimore, Chicago, and even Cleveland with Myles Garrett couldn't get to Jared Goff. That's 3 straight games against elite pass rushers without a single breakdown. Goff has been kept clean, and when he's clean, this offense moves the chains, controls the tempo, and wears down defenses. Despite injuries to veterans like Taylor Decker and changes along the interior with Graham Glasgow stepping into the center role, this line continues to prove it's one of the best in the league. So yes, there are matchups to worry about. Yes, there are injuries to monitor. But make no mistake, this Sunday is bigger than football. It's bigger than strategy, bigger than depth charts, bigger than the standings. It's about David Montgomery's journey, his perseverance, and his sister's chance to witness it all from the stands for the first time. That's the story that will define this game, no matter the final score. And for Lions fans, it's the kind of story that reminds you why you fell in love with the team in the first place, because moments like this connect us all. Now the question is, how do you see it playing out? Will Montgomery get into the end zone and dedicate a touchdown to his sister? Will the Lions continue their winning streak and push it to 4 in a row? Or will the Bengals, desperate to prove themselves, rise up at home? Lions fans, I want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you believe Montgomery will deliver that emotional moment and how you're feeling heading into Cincinnati. And while David Montgomery's homecoming and his sister's presence in the stands will be the emotional heartbeat of Sunday, there's another storyline brewing that touches the soul of this team in a very different way. It's about the people who have worn the Honolulu blue, built connections here, and then moved on, sometimes in ways that leave a bitter taste. I'm talking about Ben Johnson. Now, let's be clear. Johnson, during his time in Detroit as offensive coordinator, was nothing short of brilliant. He helped transform this offense into one of the most dangerous in football. He drew up creative schemes, empowered Jared Goff, and maximized weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gibbs, and Montgomery. He will always be remembered as the man who brought swagger back to this Lions attack. But the way things have shifted since he left for Chicago has left some scars, both for the locker room and for fans. Recently, Johnson made headlines during a sideline interview when he bristled at a question from reporter Aditi Kinkhabwala. Instead of hearing her correctly, instead of taking a breath, he snapped back, defensive and curt. And while he later admitted he misheard the question in the chaos of the game, his "I need to be better in those situations" response felt hollow. There was no apology, no personal phone call to smooth things over. Just another moment that showed how much he has changed since leaving Detroit. The friendly, inventive offensive mind who once wore a stumble-bum hat as a joke has now taken on the edge of a heel turn, a man consumed by ego, carrying himself like a villain. And don't think players haven't noticed. Brian Branch himself admitted he took Johnson's departure personally, saying the defense wanted to shove it back in his face during week 2. That's how deep this runs. When you combine that with Johnson's increasingly sharp tone in press conferences, it's not hard to see why his image has soured. In Detroit, respect is everything. Fans respect hustle, toughness, and humility. And when a coach walks away and seems to lose that humility, the city doesn't forget. But enough about Chicago. Let's pull it back to what really matters right now. The Lions are banged up, but they're adapting. With DJ Reed now officially on IR, the secondary is going to be tested like never before. Ja'Marr Chase has been frustrated, and frustrated superstars are dangerous. T. Higgins is still capable of flipping a game with a single play. The Bengals may be struggling, but desperation often fuels teams that feel backed into a corner. Detroit knows that, and that's why the next man-up mentality is going to define this week. We already mentioned Terrion Arnold getting it out through practice with a bad shoulder, and that's huge. Khalil Dorsey and Avonte Maddox, both depth players, are preparing for their biggest roles yet. Lawrence Strickland has officially been promoted from the practice squad, and while not a household name, he knows this system inside and out and could be leaned on more than expected. Nick Whiteside, a local kid who made waves in camp, is back on the practice squad, and veteran journeyman T.R. Flowers, yes, another Trey Flowers, but this one a defensive back, has been signed to help patch the holes. It's a patchwork group, but here's the thing. The Lions' defense doesn't rely on corners to be perfect. They rely on that ferocious front led by Aiden Hutchinson to create chaos. If Hutchinson, Alquadin Muhammad, and the rest of that defensive line win in the trenches, Chase and Higgins won't have the time or space to do damage. That's the formula. And let's not forget the other side of the ball. Jared Goff has been kept upright for 3 straight games thanks to an offensive line that has quietly become one of the most dominant in football. No sacks allowed since week 1. Read that again, no sacks. Not against Baltimore's defense. Not against Chicago. Not even against Myles Garrett, who might be the best edge rusher in the NFL. This group, Taylor Decker fighting through injuries, Graham Glasgow adjusting to center, rookie Christian Mahogany stepping up, Tate Ratledge making the leap, and of course Penei Sewell anchoring the right side, is the foundation of this Lions offense. And if you want proof of how good they've been, just look at the running game. Whether it's Gibbs exploding through holes or Montgomery powering forward, the Lions have options that few defenses can contain. Combine that with Goff's rhythm passing and St. Brown's consistency, and suddenly you've got a unit that can put up points on anyone. Now, let's touch on something else, the fan perspective. Because this week isn't just about Montgomery's story or Reed's injury. It's about the atmosphere in Cincinnati. Bengals fans, right now, are angry. They're frustrated with ownership, upset with how certain contracts were handled, and disillusioned with how quickly their Super Bowl contender has fallen into mediocrity. They're vulnerable, and they're going to hear a lot of Honolulu Blue in their stadium on Sunday. Because Lions fans travel. Detroit to Cincinnati is drivable, and when your team is hot, winners of 3 straight, you make that trip. Expect a wave of Lions jerseys inside Paycor Stadium. Expect chants. Expect noise. And if you're wondering how Bengals fans will treat you, the word is this: you'll be fine. They're passionate, but they're not hostile. They know their team is in trouble, and they'll recognize that the Lions are playing inspiring, physical football. You wear that Hutchinson jersey, you might even get a nod of respect. So here we are, a team on a roll, a fan base that's rising, a story about family that touches the heart, and a roster that refuses to quit no matter the injuries. Sunday is shaping up to be one of those games you remember for years, not just for the final score but for the emotions tied to it. Montgomery playing in front of his sister for the first time.